Gear Seekers, I'm Nick. This is the current state of my personal gaming PC. I haven't been able to play in weeks, and since we rebuilt my office, I've been gutting it to use parts for different projects and different builds and all the other stuff that we've got cooking in the background. So as you can see, there's no power supply anymore. I can literally put my hand through the case. Literally just a cooler and a motherboard and some cable extensions that I'm not going to use. It's a complete mess, and I haven't been able to play anything in weeks. So what I decided to do before I build my custom water-cooled gaming PC is I want to play games in my spare time. Like, not that I get much of it, but yeah, I want something to at least, you know, tickle my interests in my spare time and play some Cyberpunk and play some COD and just some games that I usually play. So what I'm going to do today, and it's one of those videos, is I'm going to build myself another PC, although I'm going to keep it in this case. I'm going to use this motherboard for another project, so I'm going to pull that out and I'm going to put a different motherboard in. And I actually finished with the CPU that I had in another project, so I'm going to put the CPU that was in here back on the board that I'm going to swap it out to. And no, I know someone's going to comment, oh, you could have just put a new CPU and the GPU and the power supply, blah, 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 in. Well, if I'm going to go through the effort of doing that, I might as well just change everything anyway, and it gives me something to do. Because like I sometimes mention, building PCs is like therapy for me, and I like building entire PCs, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do that. I'm not just going to put a CPU on this board and hook the cooler up and be good to go. That'd be boring. That'd be a pretty terrible video, wouldn't it? Also, I do what I want. So here's me doing what I want. Let's build. Alrighty, ladies and gents, I hope you enjoyed this temporary gaming PC build. As I mentioned at the start of the video, I do have a full custom water-cooled gaming PC planned. I'm just waiting for a few parts to arrive, like custom sleeved cables from Cable Mod and just a bunch of other things. I've got all the water cooling gear, but I'm literally just waiting for cables, and I don't want to do it until I have that. So what I decided to do, again, like I mentioned at the start of the video, is use the old case that I had my gaming PC in just to rebuild it because it was in a million pieces and it didn't have any real hardware in it. And I was like, hey, I think I haven't done a build in this case in a while and it looked pretty good and I want to have a PC to game on. So yeah, speaking of, let's chat about the parts. The motherboard is the ROG Crosshair 8 Dark Hero. It's an X570 board for Ryzen 3000 and Ryzen 5000 and all of the Ryzen things. The CPU is the CPU that I had in my gaming PC before. It's the AMD Ryzen 9 3950X. It's a 16-core processor. It's more geared towards multitasking and workstation workloads, but for gaming it's pretty good too. So yeah, I wanted to use the CPU I was using before in my temporary gaming PC. It's also the CPU that's going into my custom water-cooled gaming PC as well, so it'll obviously come off this board and go onto the board that we're actually going to be using. And if it's water-cooled, I'm guessing you know what board it's going to be. To cool the 3950X, we use the EKAIO 360 Elite. It's one of their newer coolers. It's really, really good. It's very, very quiet, and I've had really good experiences with it so far, so I decided that for this temporary PC, I was gonna go with it. And before anyone comments, oh, your AIO's upside down, if you watch the build section of the video, you'll see that the tubes don't reach going down. Simple as that. This is the way to do it with this case and this cooler. Deal with it. For RAM, I used 32 gigs of Antec Katana RAM at 3200 megahertz. Not the craziest, fastest RAM in the world, but I like the look of it, and because this is temporary, it's not obviously going to stay in this configuration forever. I'm not sure what RAM we're going to be using in the final build. I haven't thought that far ahead yet, so yeah. For storage, I used the same drives off the old board just because they're already configured and they're ready to go, so I didn't have to reinstall any games or anything. I fired this up. It fired up straight away, didn't have to do anything funky, and it was nice. The GPU is the ROG STRIX RTX 3090 OC. Yep, completely overkill. This is also the GPU that's going to get water cooled in my gaming PC as well. I have water blocks, backplate, everything for it, but obviously it's not water cooled yet, so there's no reason to have the water block on here yet. I still want to use the same GPU, so I'm using it in its air-cooled state. And this one actually came out of my editing PC. This was the card that came out, and when I put the other GPU in, killed that other board that I had. So, you know, unfortunate. I did address this on YouTube communities if you want to see that. But yeah, these fans are some of the coolest and easiest to connect up fans that I've ever used. They're the Lian Li Uni fans. They're the SL120s, all 120mm fans. And I had to connect only 3 connectors really to get the whole thing up and running. Really, really cool. Really digging these Uni fans. These Uni fans are actually going to go in the water-cooled system as well. I wanted to give them a go with this hardware just to see how it would go as well. And I wanted to try out L-Connect and do a few little things in the configuration. So obviously I went with the Uni fans just to play around with them a bit. And I did use them in another build that you want to check out up there, the white ones. But again, they're actually pretty good. Better than I thought they were going to be. Actually, my best mate who lives next door, he's got them in his gaming PC as well, and when he was building his gaming PC a couple of weeks ago, I was sitting with him while he was building him, and when we fired it up, they were so quiet, and I'm like, I need to actually use those fans now because they are dead silent and they push a heck of a lot of air. Not sponsored by Lian Li, I just think they're actually properly nice fans. And lastly, the case. I really like this case. It's so simple. It's the Cooler Master NR600. It's literally just a really simple metal box with the mesh front that's got awesome airflow, and they are very, 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 very cheap. And I like this case. Like when we first reviewed it, I liked it, and that's kind of why I've kept it and I haven't given it to one of my friends or anyone in my family, because I just like it. So it's kind of like Cooler Master's version of the Meshify C, except you can put bigger GPUs and bigger coolers and stuff in it. So yeah, this is a very, very nice cheap case, and I like it very much. Sometimes the cheapest cases are the best ones. And that's basically it. There's not much really more to add to this video, except that this is my temporary gaming PC. It's completely overkill, but I've got a few games that I want to finish off and some single player stuff that I'm trying to finish. And yeah, just having my gaming PC in a million parts while like harvesting it for parts for builds and videos and stuff, it wasn't really cool. And I'm like, oh, I have no time to relax and not make videos on YouTube, because that's basically what our entire life is dominated by, is by making videos. Like, I don't know, all like basically every day of the week. We've been working for the past 14 days straight, right? With no days off, right, Claire?
Yep.
Yeah, it's been pretty hectic since the start of the year. And yeah, this PC is gonna serve me well for the next, I'm gonna say 3 or 4 weeks. So yeah, put an F in the chat for when this thing gets pulled apart. But when it gets pulled apart, it's going to be reborn in its ultimate version of itself. It's going to be sick. I'm actually really keen to water cool this thing, but for now this will do. This will get the job done. This will help me chill out when I need to chill out. And ladies and gentlemen, that is it. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll put a PC part picker list down below in the description. If you like the music you heard here, I make all the music. It's available over on Patreon. If you want to get early access to videos like this one, it's available over on Floatplane. We're like a week ahead or something of whatever people are seeing on the internet when this video drops, right? This computer will be a week old by the time you guys see this. So yeah, thanks so much for watching. I'm your boy Nick with Gear Seekers. You peek, we seek, and yeah, I'm gonna go play some games, Claire. Finally, right? Finally don't have something that's just in a million pieces. Thanks for watching.